Hello, hello, my beautiful friends, you beautiful people out there. Welcome to another episode on a mother's journey to holistic health and healing. So thankful and happy you are here. For those of you that are new, welcome to this podcast, to this show. It's really a space for us to learn, to grow, to heal together, amongst hearing all our empowering stories that we share. So my name is Marissa Prieto, and I welcome you to our podcast today. Today's episode feels incredibly vulnerable because I'm sharing something that has been unfolding a bit quietly for some time now, at least the past year or so. And after 7 beautiful years of working as a holistic health coach for a virtual diabetes prevention program, I made the decision to step away and come into my role again as this holistic dietitian in a setting where I can utilize more of my gifts, my talents, my offerings. And whereas in my other job that I was in with Transform, my role was very limited and there was only so much I could do. I had to stay within that scope of practice. And so it was time. And this episode isn't about me quitting that job or anything like that. It's really about honoring seasons. I feel like honoring seasons, learning to recognize when we've received everything we were meant to receive, maybe in that moment, what we're meant to learn, what was meant to teach us, trusting our intuition, even when it maybe things didn't like logically in our mind didn't seem like it was a good time, noticing that feeling, that urge in our body and the intuition, and having the courage, right, to also take that next step in following that emotion, following that urge, that sign that is speaking to us, trusting that, okay, I've received all that I needed to right now in this time, and it's time for the next step. So if you've ever found yourself feeling, grateful for where you're at, but at the same time, you're feeling like there's something else out there, there's something new that you're meant to be doing or learning or engaging in a different experience to grow, uh, that's just going to help you evolve overall. But you're also feeling scared at the same time. I hope this conversation reminds you that all of those feelings will coexist in one time at once. And it's normal as well, right? Sometimes we're not being called to leave because something is wrong. I feel like that's a big thing too, is like we can focus on all the bad and all the stress and all the like chaos and overwhelm that it's bringing us. But we don't also see maybe what we received during that time, what we received from it. So not that we're leaving because something's necessarily wrong, but maybe there's just another door opening, right? Like that saying, when one door closes, another door opens. All right, well, we're going to get started. But before we do that, I would like to invite you for a little brief grounding, centering moment just to help us come into the present moment together. I am here lighting some sweetgrass, lighting my blessing herbs. Wherever you are, whether you're sitting or driving, really this moment is about helping us return into our bodies. You don't have to close on your eyes if you don't want to. Again, if you're driving, be simply looking around at the road around you, just to come into our breath. So I invite you now, wherever you're at, let's come into this present moment together. Heart to heart, woman to woman, soul to soul, mother to mother, human being to human being. I'm just taking this moment to settle in, noticing the seat beneath you if you are supported by a chair or bed, seat. Noticing the floor beneath you, your feet connected to the floor, to the Mother Earth, or if you're in your car, the floor beneath you in your car. Beginning to inhale and exhale slowly and gradually now, coming into our breaths. I encourage you to inhale slowly for 4, holding it for a count of 4, and exhaling slowly for 4. Just noticing how you feel connecting to your breath right now in your body. Just quieting the mind and letting those thoughts pass like clouds. Continuing to take in some more breaths, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Noticing what you see around you, if your eyes are open or if you're focused on a certain object, just gazing at it or gazing on the room around you. I'm going to do another deeper exhale. So on the exhale, we're going to release for 8. So inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8. Feeling present and calm in the body, calm in the mind. If this feels good to you, I invite you to bring your hand to your heart space, on your belly, or anywhere else that you feel maybe called to receive your gentle touch. Maybe it's cupping your face, maybe it's on your shoulders, on your forehead, on your chest, on your womb space. And just taking this moment to express your gratitude, whatever it is that you feel, any gratitude in your heart today, anything that's in your heart. Feel free to express that now. Thank you for bringing us through today together to connect in this way, wherever we are in this world at this very moment through space and time. Thank you for this opportunity to connect virtually, electronically in this world, soul to soul, for the ability to hear our stories that strengthen us to help us overcome all of life's challenges, to see that there is beauty on the other side, healing and strength, love, faith, trust. Help us remember to return to who we are, the soul, the light beneath it all, like the stories beneath it, the traumas, the wounds, returning to wholeness. Help us in our path. Please guide us, please lead us, please show us the way. To lead with courage, with strength, inner strength as well, self-compassion and grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking that time for yourself. Again, coming together and connecting with one another in this way. So thank you so much for that today. And we're going to go ahead and dive in. So, like I said, this conversation is not about quitting a job. It's really about trusting those nudges, those intuitions, those feelings, those emotions inside of us, stirring. And maybe if they've been there for some time lingering and then they're just like, I think of it like a pot of soup that's just like simmering, right? It starts simmering at first, little by little. And then if you leave it on there too long or if it's too high, it just like, boom, explodes and overflows, right? I visualize it in that way, that in particular, maybe this could be within relationships too, right? Within a relationship that you have, maybe with your partner or particular friendship or anything like that, or in your line of work and what you do, or just kind of thinking it, I guess, how you could relate to it in this way, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be within your line of work, your job, your career. But we may have these feelings, these emotions of anxiety or overwhelm, or that you feel there's just something else that you know you could be doing, that you kind of get like this urge, or maybe it's like a sense of urgency and kind of building up over time, right? And that's how it was for me. I don't know about you, but that's how it was for me. And probably for the past year, I have been thinking about, how can I transition away from transform to do more of what I love, my sharing my gifts and being able to continue evolving and growing and learning. And I was with Transform. That was the diabetes prevention program name. As a holistic health coach, I was with them for 7 years. And prior to that, I worked in an outpatient setting as a registered dietitian. And so this was a big shift for me because 7 years ago, okay, I had just had my son. He was probably a couple of months old. And my work, I was getting that same feeling that I got when I was ready to just, leave Transform. I was getting that similar feeling, that sense of urgency, of anxiety. And it kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger until I was just like, okay, I cannot do this anymore. And there were just a lot of other things too that kind of put the icing on the cake. And I was with that job. It was a government job, and I was with them for yeah, 6.5 years or so. And I was planning on staying longer because that was going to help me to pay off my student loan debt. But I couldn't do that. I just didn't have it in me. I couldn't do it. I was just beginning to be unhappy. And that was leaking out into how I felt mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in my relationships. And it was just, yeah, I knew it was already time. So I also knew that I wanted to be closer to my son. I knew that while my mother-in-law was going to be here to take care of him, thank God, a blessing to have her here to be with my son. We're very thankful for that. We have our mothers to support us with our children. And I would set up my little space here, and in between then I could go play with him. So it was a really beautiful time that I got to be closer to him in this way instead of being, 30 minutes away, 8 hours a day, come back, only gets a little time. And I know that's the reality that many of us have today. And it's very unfortunate. It's very sad. It's very disturbing also at the same time that our systems are set up in this way. The work schedule systems. You work this many hours to this many hours, or you work longer than that overtime. Even if you work from home, it's the same thing, right? We're very pressured to to produce at the cost of our well-being, my why, or my motivation, my inner motivation within my heart to drive me to take action on these steps, right? To help move me out of one season to another. And sometimes it's just experiences happening at the same time, right? That kind of work together and then shifts out into the next season, your next chapter. And so, so I was very adamant about that job. I sent emails, I connected with the people, and I was like very on top of it, and I manifested that job and I got it. And, you know, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what a health coach was. I thought it was pretty cool. It sounded interesting. Again, health coaches weren't maybe that well known back then. I thought, okay, this is diabetes prevention. I love diabetes prevention. I'm all about that. I have a strong background in diabetes prevention and management. So I was like, this is a perfect job for me. Work from home, be closer to Eli, flexibility to schedule. I can make my schedule, etc. But at the time, what was also going on within me, right? I always ask my guests this, like, where were you before this healing? Like, what was going on around that time for you? And so for me, I was a first time new mom, right? I was a first time mom, postpartum, 6 months. I was trying to get back into that, pressure of pre-pregnancy weight, and especially as a dietitian, and you have that, many dietitians might have that pressure, like, oh, you have to quote unquote look a certain way to be a wellness professional, fitness professional, whatever, right? There's a lot of pressure around that. And so that was another thing. And it wasn't until his first birthday, I shared this on one of my podcast episodes, that I realized I no longer wanted to be stuck in these toxic, disordered behaviors and patterns related to my ways of thinking, all or nothing, perfectionism, comparison, which resulted in my behaviors of like perfectionist eating tendencies and fear of foods. Even with my son, I was always preparing everything for him from scratch. I was very scared about buying things from the store. A lot of misconceptions that I didn't know then that I have now worked on and healed, that I can help my patients with now, right? And so to help us through this healing process and clear up a lot of these misconceptions that we have and misinformation, I was going through a lot. He turned a year, I started my healing work. I worked with a coach, I worked with a therapist, and this is where I started my healing work within my food journey, my body image, and my relationship to exercise. That was when that started. And coming to my work with Transform as a holistic health coach, I wasn't that into it when I first started. When we started having more trainings, when I started hearing calls of other more experienced coaches guide their participants, coaching them, I started to become really fascinated, and something really stirred in me. I was like, wow, they're really making a difference in helping these people, right? In a different way that I haven't before. And so I started becoming really intrigued by that. And I wanted to learn more. How can I be a better coach? Of course, what I do, I take more courses, I take certifications and get like certified as a holistic health coach. And, just wanted to do all those things to gain more knowledge and more experience. But that's the thing, right? We get better with experience. We learn, we grow from our experiences, not necessarily always from school or certifications. It does help, but a lot of it comes through experience. So I think that was a catalyst to my passion in holistic health and me realizing, because as I was learning about holistic health and what that means and looks like and helping other people, it's then started to be a reflection onto myself and my lifestyle and our family, and how can I incorporate this holistic lifestyle living, um, into my own. And that's when that journey started, right? So for me, it looked like a lot of my physical and mental, emotional work, where now it's some spiritual healing right now. So we go through these waves depending on what we need in our life, taking a whole person approach to health. We might tend to our emotional health a bit more. We might tend to our mental, right? And it'll be a little bit of everything. And that's why I feel so strongly about it, is that without us tuning into and nurturing all these parts of ourselves, all these bodies of health, we may not be able to experience life to the fullest. We may not be able to receive that harmony and balance in life. And yes, while there are external things going on outside of us, the outside world with all the chaos and things that they do to put barriers in front of us, intentional barriers, can really affect us in this way too. So once I started learning about all of these things, our systems, all the stressors, all the traumas, and how that affects our well-being, there was just so much that opened my eyes. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do right now. And so I wanted to continue learning. So 7 years later, I had so many eye-opening experiences that crushed me. I had my miscarriage during that time, which was very painful and traumatic. I had the termination of my baby, my son, during that time, right? I had my girls. So many beautiful, yet very emotional, very difficult times in my life that I was also able to discover healing practices, right? I was just able to discover energy healing. I was able to discover more into my yoga practices, my meditation practices, just different healing practices that have really helped me along the way, and also that I get to share with my patients, my clients. And so that was kind of where I was right during that time of those 7 years. And so as I started to reflect, the last day, the last couple of days, the last week, I was really thankful for my job. I was like, wow, I had my children. I had a very flexible schedule that allowed me to do all different kinds of things, take them to appointments. And if I wanted this day off, to take them somewhere, I could. I was very thankful for all the flexibility I have. And so those things are still important to me. So it was very important that I also find this similar things in the work that I'm in right now. So yeah, we may not realize it at the time, but when the time does come, we can reflect and be like, oh, okay, I was meant to receive this, this, and this, or I learned this, this, and this. Right? Not every season's meant to last forever. Some are meant to prepare us. Some are meant to ignite something within us, which ignited the holistic approach. And for me, right, it kind of maybe plants a seed, in other words, right? It plants a seed for the foundation. So it starts to bloom little by little, and little by little, we have this growth. And then maybe we reach a certain point where we feel like our growth is being stunted. Now, with visualizing the plant, we think about, oh man, we think about how can we problem solve? So I can keep growing, right? Like, does it need fertilizer? Does it need this? Does it need that? When maybe sometimes that does help. What if it's also just trusting that it will continue to grow little by little, right? In combination with doing some of those other things that we're trying to problem solve and prepare for. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, is we're going to receive whatever we are meant to receive in that time period, whatever time period that might be. Is that we will receive whatever we are meant to receive. This might be working with somebody. right? I tell this to my patients all the time and my clients. I'm like, okay, you might come in for this and expecting this, but you may be getting something else out of it that you didn't even realize you thought you needed. And it may not be something you expected, something you least expected, probably. Okay, so I knew some things were coming to an end, that I had already grown into a different season, a different chapter of my life was ready to be written, right? And so it wasn't really about replacing like what I had learned, because I learned so much through that job. I had so many experiences. I learned so much about myself. I realized that it's about expansion. And this is so interesting because a message came up to me the other day when I was with my husband. We were watching the sunrise, and I kept getting like this message of expansion, like an expansion of our hearts, an expansion of our consciousness. What else could expansion mean? Like, where else can we expand, right? If we just think about and reflect on that, where else can I expand in my life? What does that mean for you, right? So again, we may not know what we're meant to receive at that time, but when the time is coming, when divine timing arrives, the message, the signs will surface. But will we listen? And how long before we do start to listen? And that's our own path, right? That's our own path on when we make that decision. That's our own free will. It's interesting because many people assume we leave a certain job because we're unhappy. Right? Have you ever noticed that? Oh, why are you leaving? Oh, and then you feel like maybe their response is like, oh, well, I was unhappy with this, I was unhappy with that, right? But maybe it's not that at all, right? Like again, I love my work. I love the people I work with for the most part. I loved my team. I loved my team manager and my coworkers. We weren't that close, but everybody was so, so supportive. And that's one of the main reasons why I stayed, is because I never experienced such a supportive work environment than I had there. And so I thought, wow, this is like the perfect job. I have the flexibility. I have, this great team that cares, this work environment, right? And then you have that part of, why are you leaving? You've got those little voices saying, but you've been loyal to them for so long. You've been with them for so long. Why are you leaving? Are you not grateful? Right? You can have all these kinds of thoughts can also prevent us from moving forward in our path. And so I think that's also something important to acknowledge, is that we might have some of those thoughts or feelings of guilt, or like people pleasing. I should stay. I should do this. I should do that. But what if this person gets all the work when I leave? Right? And that can feel, yes, uncomfortable. And like, yes, there probably will be you feeling a certain way about it. But it's again, whose path is it, right? It's your path. It's your life. And I think when we leave with gratitude in our hearts, we leave a bit more calm, more grounded, kind of like closing a chapter of a previous season with gratitude, and leaves peace in your heart, I feel like, and opens up this new doorway with that same energy. You're entering this new doorway. You still don't know what it's going to be like, whatever you're moving on to. You still may not know what to expect, what it's going to be like, how things are going to change and shift. All we can have is like, can we move into this door with the same energy of gratitude, of appreciation, of curiosity, right? Just genuine curiosity, and keep it light in that sense, versus, how am I going to adapt to this? What if this? What if that? All of the uncertainties can quickly take us down that spiral of fear, right? So one thing is that I'm also noticing is like, let's keep that same energy, right? Let's move into it with that similar energy, because when we can have that same energy, so many doors open up for us in that way, right? And so I'm doing the best that we can to navigate some of the challenges that do come up when it's not ideal, right? So what are some things that helped me through some of that fear, right? Before I ended was one thing that I did do, I can share with honesty, is like, I did write down all my expenses. I wrote down all my expenses. I knew that I was going to take a big pay cut, because I had two streams of incomes coming in, and letting go of one to then this other one full time, I would be letting go of some additional income. So that was a concern. How am I going to supplement that? We can trust, but we also got to do our part in the physical world, right? We still have responsibilities, financial responsibilities. And so that's one of the things that helped me, right, from that fear is I organized my expenses. I looked at how much money I'd be bringing in. How am I going to organize my expenses? So that's one of the things I did that helped me reduce the fear and uncertainties, right? I also just did meditations and my breath work. And I didn't spend too much time thinking about what ifs, to be honest. I tried my best to just let that go and just, again, come to the trust and the faith that it's going to work out and that other forms of income are going to pop up. And they are because I'm working with people in my community to do workshops, and I'm going to be working on building my holistic medicines to sell here in the community. So I know and I'm going to trust in my heart that we're going to be okay. So that's one thing is, listening to our body, choosing love or choosing gratitude and trust and faith instead of fear. So I'm continuing everything that I've built and everything I've learned through all these years as a registered dietitian up until now, right, is basically putting everything together, right? Which is why I call it a holistic approach to health, because I am bringing everything that I'm learning into a space and into my services. So my new role now is basically everything that I've cultivated throughout the past 16 years, up until now, 15 years, is blending all of that together, right? I have all my knowledge, a professional knowledge. I have my personal experiences and everything that I've learned, putting it together and offering that to my clients, my patients. So I'm now working with a company called Nourish. If you have insurance here in the United States, if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, if you have Aetna, if you have Cigna, if you have Medicare, Medicaid, there's a couple others. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember at the top of my head. Most patients qualify for fully covered services. That means you don't have to pay anything. Some may pay a small copay. So 94% actually of patients don't pay anything. So if you have those insurances and you have been interested and wondering about how you can work with me, here is your opportunity. I'm very excited to share that with you now. I'll put the link in the show notes. So you can go on there and see what times work for you, book a session with me. It'll take you through the application process to check if your insurance will qualify, and then you can book your time with me and you'll have your initial session with me. We'll talk about what it is that you'd like help with, how I can support you, getting to know you a bit more, getting to know what you eat in a day, your sleeping habits, right? All of your habits and lifestyle, things like that. Basically just getting to know you and how I can help you. But yeah, so I'm very excited that everything I've learned, right, is like putting together the mindset work, putting together the emotional integration of healing, of how do we recognize our emotion, growing our emotional intelligence, becoming aware of our thought patterns. How can we heal those? How can we approach our critical, judgmental thoughts with compassion and grace to help us move through life a little bit more with ease, right? How can I help my body? How can I listen to my body when it feels distressed, when it feels overwhelmed and anxiety? How do I know when that shows up? What do I feel? What are the coping mechanisms? What can I do to help cope when that arises each time? It's in your nutrition. How can I eat to support my energy needs, my well-being, my overall health, right? Maybe it's a certain condition to support your diabetes or your gut digestion or your cholesterol. Your sleep, right? Your movement, your physical activity, your spirituality, your purpose here on this earth, right? So I don't just focus on one aspect of your body, of your health. We don't just focus on your nutrition. Maybe we will at first, right? We take small steps, right? We take small steps depending on where you're at and how you're feeling and what needs tending to. I help support you with that through education, through support, through mentoring, self-reflection questions, and integration, and me guiding you as well through breath work, meditation, asking the questions that will initiate more awareness in the brain and the body. So a lot of deep healing work and a lot of work to help you bring harmony to overall well-being. So I want to put that invitation out there to you. If you're interested in working with me, head to the description in the show notes. It'll walk you through the process on checking if you qualify through your insurance. If you don't, but you still want to work with me, you can email me and we'll set something up. I still offer my energy healing services, distance. I may offer you a card reading every now and then if you like a spiritual oracle card reading for those that are open to it and would like to receive spiritual guidance in that way. So I'm not just providing physical health guidance, I'm providing whole health guidance and support and mentoring for your mental health, your emotional health, your physical, and your spiritual. So if that sounds like you and it resonates, head to that link and sign up. If you have any questions, you can email me or you can find me on Instagram. If you're not already, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. And also as well, follow me on Instagram. So here's a grounding question. Ask yourself, what season am I currently in? Or what is this season teaching me? What have I outgrown? And where are you settling because it's comfortable? All right. Thank you, my friend, so much for spending this time with me today and for allowing me to share a personal chapter of my life and of my journey. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this conversation, it's this. Every season has a purpose. Some seasons are here to protect us. Some are here to prepare us. And some are definitely here to challenge us. And eventually, some are here to lovingly release us into the next version of ourselves that we may not have even realized. If you're finding yourself in a season of transition, feeling disconnected from your body, and questioning your next step, or simply longing to reconnect with yourself on a deeper level, I'd love to support you. You can learn more about working with me through the link in the show notes as I shared. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you share it with someone who's navigating a season of change. And if you haven't already, please leave a review. It would mean so much to me and help the podcast grow and meet other mamas in their season of life that needs to hear this. And I thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, my friends, continue choosing what nourishes your mind, body, soul, and heart.